Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Thank you for tuning in today. You are now listening to ThatWillNevrWork Work Podcast with your host, Maurice Chisholm.
Thank you very much for tuning in today, everybody. My family. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, we have been talking about what is holding us back. And one of the things that I have realized was education from my class talking about resumes. And so we're going to dig a little deeper into resume writing and building and things like that. Some of the key points that I found out for myself that I was lacking and or missing in my resume building because of one, I didn't always take it seriously. And number two, I have not written one in quite some time. So when it comes down to it, what is it that you're missing in your resume? And do you understand the real facts, or ideas when it comes to a resume? What is your ultimate goal with that, right? So within this resume building sessions that we're going to have over the next couple of episodes, and keep in mind, we're going over this type of stuff because some of us, we need to review this information so that we can move forward in whatever our goals are for the next year, for the incoming year. Some of us have grand ideas. We want to change jobs. We want a little bit more money. Some of us need to reinvent ourselves. So as I stated in a previous episode, that we need to review what we have done and we need to jot down those ideas, right? But one of the things that we need to keep in mind as we're talking about our resume, what is the true purpose of the resume? Do you really understand what that is? Now, some of us can have a long, drawn out idea of what it is and overthink the idea, overthink the answer, overthink the outcome, when it's probably just as simple as to get an interview. That's the key. Some of us have a hard time of getting to the interview process because we are overthinking, overprocessing the situation, right? Overanalyzing. So the key is that as we're putting together this resume or a CV or however you want to look at it, we'll talk about some of the different, differences in resumes. Your purpose of a resume is to get the interview. And so in that interview, and so within that resume, as we're trying to captivate a person's attention, because just like anything else right now, if you pay attention to anything in the landscape, as far as things that are keeping people's attention, is really quick and simple and easy. We're only clicking on 20-second videos, 30-second videos, and then we're on to the next video. I know myself, personally, it is very hard for me to watch an hour-and-a-half movie, let alone a 2.5-hour movie. I cannot get myself to sit down and think about that long enough to do that. So what I'm getting at is that when we think about these resumes, and trying to get an interview, keep in mind that whatever we're putting together has to be in a short but concise and impactful resume, because overall, just like anything else, they're only looking at it for roughly 6 seconds, give or take. And if your resume does not captivate and pull them in immediately, well, they're going to push it to the side, like anything else. So are you putting forth enough effort when it's time for you to get this resume together to not only get the interview, but then understanding that they're only reviewing it from a 6-second perspective, right? It's a quick glance. And then even with that, is your resume even being seen? Is it being seen by anyone that is breathing? One of our challenges are, as we're moving into a lot of automated situations, that our resumes are being automated. So how many of you understand that, a lot of times in these in certain situations, not all the time, but there are some where you submit your resume through these websites, and because your resume does not have some of the keywords in it, which means that it's not being seen by human eyes at this particular time, keywords will push your resume to the top, or it could kick it out if it doesn't have what they're looking for. And sometimes that's based off of what you put in, and some of it is based off of just what they've put in as far as keywords, what they're looking for. So, for an example, I do have a client who uses a very popular career builder, submit my jobs, place, and have people apply in these particular websites where people upload their resumes, and the software, the bots that's working behind the scenes, scans the resumes. Sometimes she's able to see some resumes, and some resumes she can't see. And so when people have contacted her to say, hey, I submitted my resume, I'm just trying to follow up. And she's like, well, first, I don't know who you are. And second, I didn't receive your resume. So there are some cases where our resumes and cover letters are not being seen by humans. So we're going to have to really consider that our purpose of our resume is to get an interview, that overall they're only being, if they do get to a recruiter, they're only being seen for about a total of 6 seconds, and not just over half of the resumes are being seen by individuals, real live human beings. So it's not when it comes to putting your resume together and overall aesthetic, it's not going to be as important to make it beautiful, because I've seen some very ornate resumes, if you will. But it's not going to be the point is not going to be to be beautiful and all that type of stuff. You're going to have fonts within your resume that can be read clearly. So something basic as Times New Roman or something like that, just so from an aesthetic perspective, it can be scanned. If they have a paper or non-paper, whatever it is, you have to make your resume what they call scannable. So you need to have a real basic font that any reader can pull up, whether it's a human reader or a computer reader. So having real fancy fonts, let's just try to stay away from that, along with having the correct points on that for that font, and meaning size, correct spacing in that, between the headers, where to bold, italicize, things like that. I can't sit here and say that any one particular font one particular format is better than others. Of course, with me being in school, they prefer for some of the students to refer to a particular format of a resume, but really discourage against having all these frilly things on it, which I, working with my clients, would refer from also. That would just be one of my recommendations. So today, as we're about to close this thing out, do you understand what is the purpose of your resume? On average, how long are they really looking at it? And who's actually looking at it? Is it a real live person, or is it just a robot watching it from behind the scenes? And are you including the keywords that are needed in order for you to move forward to the next phase. Catch us next time on the next episode. We're going to go a little deeper into this resume process.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.